Hello, guys. Uh, Welcome to sterile processing or central sterile processing, uh, class 230 594. This is Justin, your instructor, and I believe by this time you guys have already gone through the syllabus and you have gotten started with a lot of things. And so, thank you for making this decision to begin a new career or pursue a new career. So, uh, I hope you watched the introductory video. But right now we're going to be diving into the lecture video, and because of time, I might be a little speedy, and I know I got accent. So if you can bear with me, I'm going to go a little faster because I don't want to have you guys watching 30-40 minutes video. I don't think that's fair to you. So I'm going to be very considerate of your time. If you're watching the video and you having problem, if I'm going too fast, the opportunity is there to rewind, but I would try not to be too fast as well. Uh, so, what is sterile processing? The question there is a vital question because sterile processing is just not a department; it's what you would call the engine of the car. And I say that because it is so vital to how a hospital or a surgical center or an OR will function. There are a lot of departments that shake hand with sterile processing, and it is vital that sterile processing remains active for them to do what they have to do. Of course, there are a lot of disposable stuff out there, but sterile processing is vital to the team. And what sterile processing is actually, guys, to just be very basic with it is a department that is responsible for collecting dirty surgical instruments and cleaning them, making sure they are disinfected, assembling them, sterilizing them, storing them until they are needed again. So that is the entire process. Get the dirty stuff, clean them, disinfect them, assemble them, sterilize them, and keep them until they are needed again. And then the process continues like that. Now, sterile processing is part of what we call the perioperative team. And what that means is that in surgery or in the OR, there are departments that shake hand with sterile processing. And the OR happens to be the primary consumer for central sterile processing. But there are departments that function or that work with the OR, and all of these departments they are called a perioperative team. You got pre-surgery, post-surgery, surgery. You got anesthesia. You got central sterile. Those are all departments that work together. They shake hands to ensure surgery is successful. And so, uh, but be, but CSR is mostly behind the scene. We don't interact with patients that much. It depends on the facility where you are. Some hospitals, you will deliver items to the OR, and you go into the OR. You will see surgery is very common. Uh, some facilities you have one person responsible for such a thing is the liaison, and so but make no mistakes, you will be exposed to surgery and all of that. So but the department itself is vital to the OR. I'm telling you, is vital. If they're not functioning, it's just a matter of time before the OR shuts down. And so, the job is very very important. You gotta pay attention. You have to, uh, uh, at the same time, you gotta be a team player. You gotta be able to, work collectively and individually. You know, you got to be able to make a precise judgment immediately, and accurately. All of those things are necessary for the department, or when you are a sterile processing tech. I'm not trying to intimidate you or to have you worry, but I'm just trying to tell you the field you have chosen is vital to surgery. Is vital to to the hospital and coming into it, I don't want you to think, okay, I'm just going to, it's just another career that I'm going to choose, or I'm just moving forward. I want to find something to do. No, it is very, very important. Even though we are behind the scene, the kind of like you got a very nice car and you drive no oil around. Well, you take the engine out of that bad boy, you do not have a moving car. You're going to have a car that's just sitting there with nothing to move it. And so the engine of surgery is central sterile processing. This job, my friends, is very important. So, what exactly, to just touch a little bit on the terminology, central sterile. Now, forgive me, I will say sterile processing a lot of time because I'm used to calling the department that way, but what I mean is the same as central sterile processing. I will drop the central occasionally or most of the time, but don't be confused about that. So, the term central applies to how, different departments collect all of that dirty stuff or send all that dirty stuff in one place. So until central sterile became central, all these different departments were doing things on their own. They were all collecting all of their stuff, and they were washing their dirty stuff and disinfecting them and sterilizing them, and then uh, storing them. But then somewhere down the line, they decided, you know what, let's just have a central place where we can do all of these things. And that's where central comes in play. The name central comes from that idea. Now, services, again, refers to the collection of those dirty items, bringing them together, cleaning them, disinfecting them, sterilizing them, storing them, and distributing them again to be used. And so that's just how that goes all through. Like I said, the OR is a primary user of what CSR produces, but most of the items, some of the items are also going to like labor and delivery. They need surgical instruments for delivery. Newborn needs surgical instrument. Circumcisions and all of those things are going on, for newborn. So different flows, different departments are needing stuff. The ED, believe it or not, the ED must have surgical instruments over there because you never know what will show up. And sometimes they will ask for stuff. I have to research it to figure out, what exactly they need. So, yes, we are always, bringing all those different services have been brought together in one place so we can attend to those items and then send them back to those, at least the ones to go back on the floor, and the ones that are to be kept in the department are kept. Uh, so the flow of things is very obvious and is logical to have things moving from clean to dirty or from dirty to clean. You can't have clean and dirty going on the elevator at the same time or coming out of the elevator at the same time or in the same case car at the same time. It's not logical. It's not right. Even from the standpoint of infection control and all of that, that is just a no-no. So the flow of things going through is uh dirty to clean. They come down dirty, we take care of them, we clean them, we disinfect them, assemble them, sterilize them, and again, that's the process. That's the process, just going round and round and round, and that's how uh, the flow of work is. Now, the first place that the dirty items will come is decontam. Now, there are different areas in a department, and what I want you to understand is that depending on the size of your hospital or depending on the size of the hospital or the department, certain areas will be divided, but usually there are there are three major divisions that are separated by walls, and those divisions have their own temperature setup and humidity and all of those things. You got your decontamination area. Now the decontamination area is where the dirty stuff come down, and what happens is that uh we in that area, everything that that comes in that area is soil, is dirty, and we have to clean them. We have to sort them out and clean them, and then send them through the wash. And we'll talk about that later on in some of those chapters. But the decontaminant area, and in some facilities, the decontaminant will have two areas. You have the high level disinfection area, and then you have your regular decontaminant. But there was, they will be subdivided, but that's just one area decontaminant. And then you have the assembly and sterilization area. Now usually it's a really big space, so the instruments, the dirty instruments, are clean and they are sent through what we call washers, and those washers go or wash those instruments and then send them through, and someone pull them on the other side, and that side is the assembly and sterilization side. That's where when the clean instruments come, you can be comfortable to touch it with your hands now because they've been cleaned and disinfected. Now, in that area, you assemble the instruments and you arrange them really nicely in those containers or pans, and then the pans will go in the containers. We'll talk about all of that later on. But once they get arranged, for those of you who love to arrange stuff beautifully, that's one area I've seen different skill set. You can arrange it real nice, but that's usually a standard. You don't want to just do, get very over creative. There's there's usually a standard of how they should be. And once you get them like that, add a little twist to it, and good. You can them and you lock them and you put them on the racks to go in the autoclave. That's the sterilization part. So that whole area is a one department. It's a one big section, rather, not department, but one big section. And then the next section will be the storage area. The storage area is a big area. Usually, again, depends on the size of the hospital. But if you are in an area where the storage area is separated, you will always see there will be a case card area, and then there will be just instrumentation storage area or trays storage area. So the case card area is usually all the trays. You know how you transport things. You can A lot of time when cases are pulled, they are pulled and placed in this stainless steel uh card, and it's sealed. All right, you open it and you close it, and you put all your trays in there and close it. It covers it, and you can, some facilities will allow you to do, it's part of the requirement to lock it. From where I work, we don't lock the case cards, except the emergency case cards. But it's more like, we store the stuff, we store the trays in there. So your case card area might be separated from your storage area, uh, or might not, depending on the size of your facility. And so, but and then another thing, some facilities have their equipment room in the case card area or in another storage area. If it's a modern hospital, I mean, the design is just unbelievable, and they all of these different rooms are well thought about. Even the vendor room, they got a space for the vendor room, and the vendor are those, that serve the doctors, and they bring instruments, special kind of instruments, or some set of instruments that the facility may not have, and they bring them in for surgery. And sometimes, a lot of time, they bring in plates and screws, for surgeries, and then certain technical instruments that are needed to do certain cases. And so they bring those in, and they are kept in a room. That's another storage area. So those are the three key areas: your decontaminant area, your assembly and sterilization area, and your storage area. Depending on the size of your hospital, those rooms might just be divided into two or three or more. All right, but usually not with decontaminant. Decontaminant is just two, maybe a high level disinfection, room. So in decontaminant, we say what soil items. I already touched on that. I'm gonna try to post this little PowerPoint I'm working with to Moodle. You can look at it, but I'm sorry, I probably should have posted earlier before I started this. But these are notes I created on my own a while ago, because I will teach the process when I have new sterile processing staff coming or new to the OR. A lot of time I would teach them, so I kind of created this so I can go all over the place, or I can be excited and go all over the place with my explanation. Just a little guide, all right? I'll try to post it on there. And we'll talk about the environment, the decontaminant area. It has its own negative air pressure and all of that. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want to touch one or two things. I'm planning to keep this video at least within 20 minutes. Now I'm looking at 15. So please go ahead and read some of these things. Now, another thing that the book will talk about is ethics. I I might not. I don't think I can go into that, but it's very important that you spend some time with that. Uh, I don't know if I'll have time to create a video on it, but it's very we have an idea. I think everyone has an idea what ethics are, especially in healthcare. If you don't, it applies in any field you work in. Code of ethics and all of that, and then you have standards in government agencies. Uh, and then you have accrediting agencies as well that serve or that set standards in place for sterile processing. One of the things I want to look at a little bit is the agencies that that serve not serve but they set standards in place for healthcare. Now there are a lot of them, and I may not have the time. I don't have the time to go into all of them, but they are in the PDF I posted already. Are in the book. So, but just to touch a little bit, you got CDC. You have NAFPAD, which is National Fire Protection Agency. Now, some of you guys are well informed about these agencies and what they do, especially CDC. We've been hearing a lot about CDC within these couple of months, and so a lot of us know now what CDC is, but they do a lot of other things, and we can't touch on all of them. But one of the things that is crucial to know about CDC is that uh this set classification for medical devices. All right, so you got your critical, your semi-critical, and your non-critical. CDC, the organization makes sure that you know the things that are going that the instruments that are brought to sterile field to the sterile field of the human body or of the person, they are called critical items. If it's like if you have an abdominal surgery or heart surgery, all of those instruments that are coming directly to the sterile field or come in contact with the internal part of the person, those are critical instruments or critical items. Now, the ones that are going to be come in contact with like the mucous membrane and all of that, yes, those are semi or semi-critical. All right, they're not necessarily going to a sterile area, but they are coming in contact with some internal part of the body, and so those are semi-critical. And then you have your non-critical. The non-critical uh, uh, classification is basically stuff that either being around the person or uh, touching the skin or items or instruments that are going to come in contact with the skin or come around the person. Those are non-critical items. All right, and those things, there are different disinfection processes for them. So the items that will be critical have to go through proper sterilization. They are critical items. The non-critical items, some of them can be disinfected, high level disinfected, and then some can be, and while a lot of them can be both high level disinfected and then sterilized. And the non-critical items, a lot of the time they are high level, they are disinfected, not necessarily high level disinfected. So please understand, CDC is very important. And then also sterilization and disinfection period in the department. CDC is responsible for all of that. All right, so we can dive into it right now. It looks like I'm running out of time, but we also are aware of joint of accrediting agencies, and then we got a joint commission. The joint commission is very important to the hospital. We got a joint commission. We have the EMI. I think some of you probably heard of joint commission on EMI, and then we got association of perioperative nurses, registered nurses. That's the AORN organization. A lot of times when you're in the hospital area, you hear these terminologies a lot. And then you got ISHM certification, and then you got EPIC, you got CBS PD. That's the one that's the certification you're going to be taking when you are done with the class. The CBS PD. I'm ISHM certified, and so these are these different organizations and agencies. But Joint Commission is very big in the hospital field, in the medical field, and they will come by annually and they will inspect. A lot of times they will not inform the hospitals that they're coming by, which of course that's good. And but at least the hospitals will usually know, but they won't know exactly sometimes. I'm not too sure how that happens behind the scene, but I know that they will surprise facilities at times. And so they come around and they're doing a couple of things. They will evaluate performance, specifically performance that are specifically connected with patient care. All right. So departments that are dealing directly with patient care, all right, interacting with patients, they go after these departments and make sure that they are following procedures and the regulations and things like that. Uh, Now, the Joint Commission is recognized by the U.S. Center for Medicare and Medicare. Now, them guys, they are, you know, they are big. They are big. When you done, when you fail their inspections and stuff like that, I'm telling you, you're in trouble. Because from what I understand, uh, you're not gonna get your facility is not gonna get Medicaid, and all of those reimbursement, all of those things. So when they are coming, facilities are trying to make sure things are right, or when they are in-house, facilities are trying to make sure things are right. Now, I don't want to say things were never right before, but because that's why you have your managers and your supervisors, and you have in-house leadership and all of that, and infection control and all of these departments in the hospital to make sure these regulations are met. So it's not only okay when Joint Commission come in before we get ready. No, but there are people that are making sure we comply and standards are met. So when you have surgery, we know that we can say for sure that everything used on that patient is safe. All right. And that's part of my job. I I can be very difficult when something is not satisfying. And so if I have to go talk to a surgeon and say, we can't use that right now, I got to make sure this is right. I've never had problem with surgeons, but a lot of time things like that, even though it might delay them a little bit, but they are happy about that someone cares to make such a call. And so uh but yeah, everything has to be done correctly and perfectly, especially in the surgical world. There is no room for mistakes. There is no room for I'm not sure and things like that. So when Joint Commission comes in, we're not trying to get it right. We've been getting it right all year. All right. And so they do what they call tracer methodology. And what that is, uh they come in, they visit all the departments that deal with patient care, and they ask important questions. The department process, they review policies, and they request documentations, and they request that you show documentations that prove that you've been complying with policies and regulations. When they come around, it's big. It's I don't want to say it's bad news, but it's big time good news, and and all of those involved, but and they will ask some questions. They will ask some questions, and if you don't have stuff wrong, if you have stuff wrong, you're not answering your questions correctly, yeah, your facility is going to be in trouble. All right, so they don't play, and a lot of times those guys will not smile. They'll be very serious. They're not trying to talk. They're not trying to be your friend. They're right there with you, and they want to make sure you got it right. So, man, I'm at 24 minutes right now. I'm gonna stop here and keep it at 25. I want to be a man of my word. And so, if you have any question regarding this video, ask me. Uh, I will, I will post I mean, if you have any questions, like I said, ask me, and I will make sure I will get to your answer. I will try to find an answer for you. If there's something you want me to touch on, let me know. But I think the material itself is when you're reading through the book, is self-explanatory. Uh, Spend some time with it, and I hope this is good. I hope it gives you a good idea. A lot of the specific assignments, the specific things and stuff, we did not touch in on them in depth. Uh, but just as a department, it is the responsibilities and all of those. One thing I meant to touch on, but I don't have the time, is the different assignments in sterile processing. So in decontam, usually there are two people in decontam, and then uh in the assembly area, you got different assignments and different functions. And then in storage, you have somebody who's storing the stuff. You got a liaison who's carrying stuff to the OR. And so there are different assignments, but all of those assignments have to function within regulations, within protocols, within standard. If you start doing stuff wrong, it's a problem. And so if you have any question, please feel free to let me know. Like I said, I really don't want to keep you guys long just watching the video. All right, so I will stop here for now. Thank you.